therefore has approximately 2,200 inspectors responsible for the health. Has approximately small agency. Federally, OSHA is a small agency. However, it does have state partners and therefore has approximately 2,200 inspectors responsible for the health and safety of over 130 million workers. These workers are employed at more than 8 million work sites across the nation. This translates to about one compliance officer for every 59,000 workers. OSHA's fiscal year budget for the year 2014 was $552,247,000. There was a slight increase in the fiscal year 2015 to $552,787,000, and no increase for the fiscal year 2016. As for inspections, fiscal year 2015 saw total federal inspections at 35,820. If we include state-planned inspections, this number increases to 43,471. So what brought on OSHA? In 1913, there were 23,000 industrial deaths reported. Again, this was 1913 and not all work accidents were reported at the time. However, there were approximately 38 million U.S. workers. This number only grew from 1935 to 1960, when more than 400,000 workers were killed on the job. But OSHA is making a difference. In the 4 decades, 400,000 from 1935 to 1960, when more than 400,000 workers were killed on the job. But OSHA is making a difference. In the 4 decades since OSHA was signed into law, OSHA, along with their state partners, coupled with the efforts of employers, safety and health advocates, as well as unions and workers, have had a dramatic effect on workplace safety. Since 1970, workplace fatalities have been reduced by more than 65%, and occupational injuries and illness rates have declined by more than 67%. At the same time, U.S. employment has more than doubled. Worker deaths in America are down on average from about 38 workers per day in 1970 to 13 per day in the year 2014, and worker injury and illnesses are down from 10.9 incidents per 100 workers in 1972 to 3 per 100 in the year 2015. These numbers are positive, but they're nothing to brag about. One death, one injury, one illness is far too many. So who is covered by OSHA? Most employees in the United States come under OSHA's jurisdiction. OSHA covers private sector employees and employees in all 50 states and the District of Columbia, and other U.S. jurisdiction territories, directly through the federal OSHA program or through an OSHA-approved state program. State-run health and safety programs must be at least as effective as the federal OSHA program to qualify. Now, employees who work for state and local governments are not covered by federal OSHA, but do have Occupational Safety and Health Act protection if they work in a state that has an OSHA-approved state program. 4 additional states and 1 U.S. territory have OSHA-approved programs that cover public sector employees only. This includes Connecticut, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, and the Virgin Islands. Private sector workers in these 4 states and the Virgin Islands are covered by federal OSHA. And federal agencies must have a safety and health program that meets the same standards as private employees. Although OSHA does not fine federal agencies, it does monitor federal agencies and responds to workers' complaints. The United States Postal Service is covered by OSHA. And now is a good time to mention the General Duty Clause. The General Duty Clause is written into the Occupational Safety and Health Act. It is Public Law 91-596. And it states that both the employer and the employee must comply with OSHA. The General Duty Clause states that each employer shall furnish to each of his or her employees employment and a place of employment which are free from recognized hazards that are causing or are likely to cause death or serious physical harm to his or her employees. It also states that all employers shall comply with the occupational safety and health standards promulgated under this act. Now, employees are not free of responsibility. Each employee shall comply with occupational safety and health standards and shall follow all rules, regulations, and orders issued pursuant to this act, which are applicable to his or her own actions and conduct. And now, with this background, let's move on and talk employment, which are Law 91-596. And it states that both the employer and the employee must comply with OSHA. The General Duty Clause states that each employer shall furnish to each of his or her employees employment and a place of employment which are free from recognized hazards that are causing or are likely to cause death or serious physical harm to his or her employee, methods, and conduct. Let's move on and talk specifically about the construction industry. Construction is a high-hazard industry that comprises a wide range of activities. It may involve demolition, alterations, renovations, and repair. Most people in this industry are in the industry because they have a passion for it. They're professionals and understand the hazards that they face every day. Many of those hazards they can stand the hazard industry because they have a passion for it. They're professionals and understand the hazards that they face every day. Many of those hazards they can see. They understand the potential for falls, the potential of unguarded equipment or being struck by heavy construction equipment. Unfortunately, many of those hazards are not visible, such things as silica dust or asbestos. The information and the resources provided in this presentation are hopefully going to assist those in this industry, whether they be workers or employers, to identify and reduce and hopefully eliminate construction-related hazards. And there is no better place to start than with the construction industry's Fatal Four. Of the 4,386 worker fatalities in private industry in the calendar year of 2014, 899, or 20.5%, were in construction. The Fatal Four were responsible for more than half, or 60.6%, of the construction worker deaths in the calendar year of 2014. And number one on the Fatal Four list, falls. 359 of the 899 total deaths in the construction year 2014 were caused by falls. That's 359 of our fellow workers perished from this one hazard. Next up, electrocutions. 74 people killed by electrocutions. After that, struck by an object, 73 people. And last, caught in between, 39 fellow workers killed by this hazard. Just imagine if we could eliminate these 4 accidents. That would be 545 people returning home to their families at the end of every day, every year. So now let's review what OSHA has found to be 2015's top 10 most frequently cited violations.